Manny the Pac-Man Pacquiao returns to the ring against Mario Barrios. According to WBC president Mauricio Suleiman, he is going to be back. Manny is going to be back in the ring. Just sounds weird to say for me. I'm a big Pacquiao fan, but I'm just not sure why he's coming back to fight Mario Barrios. Of all people, I feel like he's probably the most beatable fighter for Manny Pacquiao to be facing at his age. You know, he's approaching like 50 years old. It's just a crazy thing to see Manny back. And I understand, you know, people have their speculations. Fans like to talk, and you know, they all think they know that Manny's trying to get that money, he's trying to get that paycheck, he's going broke. But it just doesn't make sense to me, because like if he was really broke, and I've been thinking about it, like I'm Filipino, I know that Manny Pacquiao, like with the click of a button, could easily get a bunch of sponsorships in the Philippines and even in the US. So like there's not really that sense of that. I think it's more so that Manny is struggling with like his purpose in life. I know that sounds crazy to, you know, say, it sounds crazy to hear, but ultimately, like he doesn't know what to do with his time when he's not boxing. Of course, he's enjoying the fruits of his labor, you know, enjoying his family and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you know, Manny's life has been so interesting. You know, boxing has took him such a long way that I think he's just having a hard time navigating life without it. And I don't think it's for the money, because if Manny wanted money, why not fight a MMA fighter? Why not fight Conor McGregor? Why not do an exhibition against Conor and make it a huge event that's gonna, you know, do great numbers in Vegas, and he's definitely gonna get paid a lot of money? What does he gain from fighting Mario Barrios? You know, you have Floyd Mayweather fighting Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, Sugar Shane Mosley, Ricky Hatton, Marquez, Eric Morales, and you're gonna come back to fight Mario Barrios? That doesn't make sense. You know, Barrios doesn't add anything to Manny Pacquiao's legendary resume, nor does it make him the most financial benefit in the world. So for me, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, this guy just wants to fight again. He just wants to test himself and see if he can compete against some of the best, and he's not going for, you know, boots Ennis. I think that would be a really big mistake. I'd really be concerned for Manny, but I think he handpicked the most realistic fight for him that he could potentially compete in. I think at this point in his, you know, life, and at this age where he's pretty old, you know, he's an older man right now, like he should be having grandkids soon, and instead of, you know, enjoying that and focusing on that, he wants to fight. And I, you know, could sit here and judge it, but I honestly understand it, because imagine, you know, going from rags to riches, and what brought you to the United States, what brought you that superstardom, that fame and fortune and everything, and brought you that glory and purpose in life, you're no longer doing. And I feel like he's struggling with that ultimately, which I completely get. It's hard to give up something, you know, if you've dedicated your whole life to the sport of boxing and then it's no longer in your life. It can be really difficult to let that part of it go. It's just more so the physical, you know, wear and tear and detriments that Manny, you know, would have to deal with. And that's more so the side that I'm worried about. You know, as a big fan of Manny's, you know, someone who looked up to him and still looks up to him as an idol. You know, he's the fighter that got me into doing what I'm doing today. So, you know, he's the reason I do this for a living. And ultimately, like, Manny's inspired so many other people, and it's inspirational that he's going to be getting back in the ring in July to face Mario Barrios. But he's at that age where, like, I don't think anybody's going to pick him to win, because he's just old. You know, it's the same as Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. Like, Jake Paul is nowhere near the legend of Mike Tyson, but it's about age and mobility. I just don't think Manny's, you know, as quick. Obviously, Father Time is undefeated, and, you know, age doesn't lie. And as, you know, talented as Manny is, honestly, like, there's a slim chance that Manny's able to, you know, pull it off. You know, if there's one person he can probably beat, it's Mario Barrios, but it's just not favorable just because of the youth. I just think, like, you know, why not fight a Nui or something at some, you know, little catchweight or exhibition? That would make more money than fighting Mario Barrios, because with Barrios, it's just like, if you lose to him, it's just doesn't really move the needle for anything. But that's why I'm saying, you know, the purpose isn't for the money. It's really the fact that, you know, Manny just wants to fight again, and he wants to test himself. He wants to compete. That's just how he is. You know, look at where he was in his career already, you know, on the decline, getting ready for retirement. He wanted to fight Earl Spence Jr. So it's like, that's just the kind of fighter Manny is. There's not a lot of guys out there, especially in today's world where we just had that Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, you know, their performances where they're not willing to sell out. You have a guy like Manny who was willing to give, you know, everything to the fans, was willing to sell out. There was no gun shy. You know, you knew what you were getting with Manny. With Ryan, with Devin Haney, you don't know what you're going to get. But with Manny, like, that's how different the generations are. Nowadays, it's just like about getting your bag, getting your money, being popular, you know, wearing the chains, being with the pretty girls. But, you know, Manny, you knew what you were going to get time in and time out. You were going to get that same ferocious and exciting style, and he'd want to entertain the fans. These guys nowadays, they don't really care about that. They just want to look good for themselves. Manny, you know, he would always tell you guys he would do it for the fans. He wanted to give the fans a good fight. It wasn't about, you know, his own health. He was willing to put on a show in any way he could, and that's why he's great. And the rest of these guys right now in today's generation are just good. That is what it is. But, you know, Manny's going to be coming back. I'm a little bit worried, I'm not going to lie, but you know, he's his own man, and he's earned the right to do whatever he wants. So respect to Manny. We'll see how he looks against Mario Barrios, but let me know down below who you guys got and why do you guys think Manny Pacquiao is returning to the sport. I just gave you my explanation, but let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next Nabs boxing video. Peace.